It's absolutely no question that we are reaching a new low at each passing day. We now got to a point where people see a beautiful image of children in a Christian church, whether it's a mass or a sermon, whatever it is, and then they comment stuff like this. Check this out. Mario tells us, so let me get this straight. In places like Florida, kids are banned from social media because the government is, open quotes, worried, close quotes, they'll get brainwashed, indoctrinated, or mentally hurt. Right? Yeah, to that I would say right. Now explain to me why the same kids can be dragged into functioning religions before they even know how to wipe their own ASS. I'll destroy him. Just give me a second. You think TikTok is dangerous, but 5-year-old memorizing verses about eternal damnation and invisible sky judges isn't? If you're really against indoctrination, then be against all of it, not just the digital kind, because nothing rewires a child's brain like a holy book being forced down their throat before they even understand what death is. You want to protect kids? Start by banning all religious indoctrination under 18. I know already some of you are seeing this and you're cringing and face-palming so hard. I know. But for those of you who think, no, I think he's a very good point. He got you there. Okay, yeah, let me finish and I'll show you. Teach them mythology, teach them history, let them explore different belief systems like art and literature, but keep them the F away from functioning religions until they're old enough to choose. Because if social media is a brainwash machine, religion is the original software. Man, and he really think this is a smart, deep... Let's examine this. So what did he do? He's got a strong hook, I'll give him that. Let me get this one straight, a bunch of religious symbols. And even though we've got everything, we've got like Christianity, Jewish, Muslim, but the only one he has got a problem with actually is Christianity. So you could have avoided adding all of these, just put the Christian cross, mate. Be honest. But yeah, anyway, so he's introducing the first item of discussion is something that I think we can all agree with. Yes, kids should not be indoctrinated politically, and too much social media is bad for children. Great. So he starts with something that you're like, yeah, no, I'm willing. Okay, I can agree with that. Then he goes into unconstitutional territory. This is the call to action against everything that the American, since he's talking about Florida, that the American Constitution is about, freedom of religion. No, yeah, just ban it. Ban that shit. Ban everything. Yeah, government intervention. Right there. While you're at it, why don't you remove the freedom of speech? Yeah, remove completely freedom of religion. How about that one? So yeah, no, that's what he actually wanted to say with this post. So everything else up to this was an introduction to what he actually wants. Banning specifically Christian religion under 18. Then, because this is a really strong and un-American thing to say, then he tries to mitigate with this little paragraph, which is the part where he's like, oh, but I'm reasonable, look at me. I do want them to be taught mythology, history, and different belief system, and yeah, absolutely. Just keep the F away from functioning religions until they're old enough to choose. Enough to choose? This isn't consent. We're not talking about, goodness gracious. It's difficult to not have your blood boil when you see the absence of logics. And then there is the closing statement, which he thinks makes him so smart. Alright, so let me tell you why this is absolute, complete, total garbage. Differently from him, I'm not gonna go try to manipulate you first with a little softball statement just to soften you up, and then something we can agree on, and then no, I'm gonna just say it right off the bat, so the people get offended, and here we are. The sort of political indoctrination that our children have been exposed to for the last few years is absolutely abhorrent and immoral. Instead, the type of specifically Christian religious indoctrination that you are singling out is based. Now you may think that this is a hypocritical stance on my part. So, for those of you who stayed and didn't let the emotions type the unsubscribe and scream and go away, let me try and defend this position with reason and logics. See, the reason why there is nothing wrong here, it's because these children were brought to church by their parents. Their parents. Not an external person, not the government, not a teacher, the parents. Thus, the children that you show here at church were brought there by their own parents. These are their children. So it's the parents' right to raise them as they please and as they see fit. And your proposal of banning the ability to raise your children in your own religion, whichever religion that may be, is tyrannical and unconstitutional. When it comes to the social media platforms, however, so the kind of radical left, identity politics, gender ideology, woke teachers, far left positions that have been pushed onto our children, whether it be through TikTok, through YouTube, through games, through studios, through media, through cartoons, or in school, those people are not indoctrinating their own children. They're indoctrinating our children, so someone else's kids. Do you see why the two things are not even remotely comparable? This line of attack that I've seen, even people that I respect, that have different political ideas as me, but I still respect them because I think, okay, that person is intelligent, they know history, and yet when they are very left-leaning, this is a line of attack that they will use. They will see that oftentimes conservative parents will complain about the kind of political indoctrination that our kids are exposed to, both on social media and at school. And then the split second that happens, which is absolutely something the parents have the right to do since it's without the parents' consent, immediately people with this kind of ideology will point out to this very same parents being Christians and say, oh, you are here teaching your children about the Bible and Jesus, and yet you tell us and complain about indoctrinating the kids? Yes, and it's not a comeback that has any value from any logical point of view because, again, the two things are different. Any parent has the right to bring up their children however they want because it's their children, but you, however, have no right to indoctrinate someone else's children against the very values that that person or parents believe in. To further illustrate the point for those of you who are still resistant to this analysis, if, as a liberal parent, you choose to teach your own children that religion is nonsense, atheism is the way and it's based and true, gender studies are great, identity politics is the way to go, whatever you like, I say, by all means, it is your children. Teach away. It's your kids. No one is complaining here about your personal choice of religion. Whatever. It's your kids. Bring them up in the faith you choose. Or if you're, again, a secular household, a progressive household, and you're like, no, I'm going to teach my son, I'm going to teach my daughter, together with my wife, I'm going to teach her, religions are just a way to control people, but you just be a nice person and we don't believe in it. In fact, the books are bad and all of that. It's not like I'm going to come to you and tell you, you can't do that. No, I'll make it. And you can't tell them that until they're 18. Come on. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And in fact, unjust. Our complaint is solid because differently from yours, it's about external factors, meaning people and teachers, through either the power of social media or jeopardizing classroom integrity and academic integrity all the way up to university level. You're using that to indoctrinate someone else's kids. Not the same. Each parent is free to raise their children however they see fit. So showing kids at church is not the gotcha that you think it is, because those children were brought there by their own parents, and it's the parents' rights that you are trying to remove, but you will fail because it's unconstitutional and un-American. Subscribe. It also shows that this individual here has been completely brainwashed, because what you're seeing here, what is the basis of this comeback, of this idea of banning all religious indoctrination under 18? It's the fact that he thinks that religion is bad. Problem is, I don't. I think Christian faith is the best way to live your life. And here's the problem. My freedom ceases when it starts overlapping with yours. We should both be free to be able to have such position, but the moment you want to enforce your position simply on the basis that you think that it's the best way to live, that you think your idea is the best one, then why shouldn't I decide then that I think you're wrong, and I think that, on the other hand, atheism should be banned and religion should be enforced? You know, when that happens, you end up with a civil war, or you end up with an actual war, whether it be symmetrical or asymmetrical, which is why I disagree with that. I think people should be free. I will absolutely bring up my children in the Christian faith because I believe that that's the best way to achieve true joy and everlasting happiness. And I will fight for my right to do that. On the other hand, however, I will also fight for your right to not do that, to think that that's wrong, and to bring up your children however you please. And I think that the most honest and righteous way to approach that is to say, you teach what you think, I teach what I think, but we should both agree that once the child is 18 and they become an adult, if your child wants to be religious, even though you taught them secularism and atheism, then you should respect that. You did your part, but your child wants to become a Christian, you should allow that child to become a Christian. Likewise, if I teach and bring up my children within the Christian faith, but then as they are 18, they tell me, you know what, Dad, I don't really believe it. I'm an atheist. I should respect that. And I should love my son or my daughter all the same, because I've done my part as a parent, trying to do what I believe, trying to teach them what I believe is the best way to live their lives. But then again, they are my children. And so I should always be there. Of course, I can hope that in the future they'll change their mind and it's just a phase, and say the same you can do with your own positions. But the idea that you are going to try and point the finger, making a false analogy, and also try to add the idea of banning something simply because you think is the best way to do it, that makes you a tyrant, and in fact, dare I say, quite fascist of you. You call my faith a brainwashing machine. I call your politics a brainwashing machine. At the end of the day, as long as we're both free to be able to express our ideas without any fear of unjust repercussion, and most importantly, governmental intervention, which is all what the First Amendment and protected speech is about, then I say I have no problems here. But I will always have a problem. First, with this targeted anti-Christian, specifically targeted at Christians, because he could have put a Muslim mosque. Why didn't he do that? He could have put Jews here and their Jewish religion. He didn't do that. He had to have a problem with Christians, because at the end of the day, this is what this all is. Anti-Western and anti-Christian sentiment. We will say it and we will fight to preserve our freedoms that we enjoy in the West. And that's where I'm going to leave it. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.